Thank you, Kathleen, for your insightful presentation. Ladies, you've been given sufficient notice of the impending summit in September 2014. We've also heard of the research that will take place in sectors craft, textile, cosmetics. The interesting part about the tourism, the country where I come from, tourism is our mainstay, and I know lots of countries are also looking to tourism. And the most important message I got there was to remind us that we need to service our existing clientele, our existing customer base, rather than ignore that and look for others, because it will cost us 7 times more. That's important information. At this point, I call on our second presenter, Amesika Baeta, to share her experience with us and to give us some insights.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me. I'm quite delighted to be here on behalf of the Organization for Women in International Trade. On a personal note, I'm quite honored as a Ghanaian Canadian to be here representing and seeing all these African women here, businesswomen. My family has had a long history of doing various business enterprises in Ghana, so I'm quite pleased to be here speaking on behalf of what's happening here in Canada. Before I begin talking about OWIT, I'll also mention that I'm also the Director of Member Relations and Development at IE Canada, which is the Canadian Association of Importers and Exporters. We are also a not-for-profit organization that represents the interests of importers and exporters here in Canada. And I think one of the most important things for people to understand is that there's organizations like ours, there's organizations like the Canadian Society of Customs Brokers that Carol was explaining to you, that are available here in Canada, as well as many other industry-focused associations that are here to help you understand what it takes to do business in Canada. And that's where the theme of cooperation comes in. As we know, manifesting ourselves in international trade in this world is incredibly difficult. Understanding the regulatory environment in Canada specifically is very difficult, which is why there's organizations like ours there to help you understand what it takes to do business in Canada, understands the different things that you need to do to think about when considering doing business in Canada, as well as once you're doing business in Canada, how you continue to remain compliant and up to date with what's happening within the regulatory environment that you're operating in. And those are essential things to the success of your business and the continued growth and sustainability of your business. So I just wanted to make that note on behalf of IE Canada. Now, on behalf of OWIT, which is the Organization for Women in International Trade, I'm their new president, newly elected in January 2013. And I'm very honored to take on this role as it's a new venture into this realm of business development. The Organization for Women in International Trade is a professional organization which is specifically designed to promote women who work in different aspects of international trade and business. The Toronto chapter is the first chapter which is part of a international network of chapters all over the US, some in Europe and Africa, and is expanding day by day as more and more women get involved in international trade and develop more chapters across the world. Some of the key things that we focus on is networking opportunities for women entrepreneurs, as well as education opportunities and broadening contacts. As we know, there's very little you can do today without using your contacts, and that's one of the things that we really try to stress at OWIT, is building those contacts and spreading your networks to really understand what's happening within Canada, and also to help women entrepreneurs who are looking to do business abroad. So we tap into our OWIT sisterhood, linking different members to other members who are doing business in other countries, as well as the chapters that are there, to use the resources that are there to help them to continue to do business in those regions. Today, we're very happy to say that there's over 26 chapters that OWIT has with over 2,000 members across the world, which is very exciting, and that number continues to grow. In Toronto specifically, we just have shy of 50 members of women that come from all different industries, trade lawyers, accountants, government officials, different banking financiers, as well as people who work for different organizations like i.e. Canada that are involved in OWIT, who bring different perspectives, different experiences to the table, which is why it's such a phenomenal organization to be a part of and to represent and to become members with. Some of the things that I wanted to talk to you about today in terms of cooperation, which is our theme, is the role that it can play in fostering business. As we know, coming from a not-for-profit background, cooperation is the only way that you can succeed. With the economy being the way it is today, and the tight budgets that companies have and governments have, we rely on the cooperation of other nonprofit organizations, other partners in the industry, such as TFO, Foreign Affairs and International Trade. We rely on them tremendously to help build a stronger mandate to help service the industry. Some of the things about cooperation that's very important is that cooperation can find itself in very many different avenues. And when you're a not-for-profit organization, it's important to utilize those contacts in order to provide more events and programming for individuals in this realm. And part of OWIT's mandate is to provide those kinds of events where we bring different speakers, different government officials to come and talk about how women entrepreneurs can utilize their services to do business abroad. And without them, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. We also rely heavily on the sponsorship of different financial institutions and government institutions that help us financially, as well as a promotion of the work that we're doing, which is a huge part of the cooperation that we deal with. One of the ways that I personally became involved in international trade was after I finished my postgraduate work. I did an internship at the U.S. Commercial Service here at the Toronto Consulate, in Toronto at the U.S. Consulate here. And it was one of the most inspiring and important decisions I ever made in my life. It opened up my eyes to the world of international trade, which I hadn't really been exposed to. My background had always been international development, international relations. So getting exposed in this internship was phenomenal for me. And for the last number of years, I've really been a strong advocate on the importance of internships for postgraduate students, as well as people who are trying to figure out what they would like to do in their careers. Many students that I come across who are looking to find opportunities in international trade are constantly asking us whether there's internship opportunities, and most of the time they're not even looking for paid opportunities, they're just looking for opportunities to have experience. And the internship that I did was phenomenal because it gave me practical experience, it gave me contacts, of which I still use to this day, as well as opened my eyes into the different elements that international trade can provide. And that's some of the messaging that I like to bring to the table, was that international trade isn't just the importation and exportation of goods. International trade involves trade finance. It involves any multinational company has an element of international trade. As Carol was talking about, the customs brokerage aspect of international trade. So that's some of the opportunities that you can really experience through doing an internship, is really opening your eyes to what your career can be and broaden versus doing the usual become a trade lawyer or work for foreign affairs. There's many other things that you can do within the realm of international trade. And for me, that experience was extraordinary. And I think it's incredibly important for Canadian employers, as well as abroad, for you to consider the opportunity to provide internship opportunities if it is available, to be an advocate for more internships, because I know there's a number of students who come out of school really confused. They are overeducated with a number of degrees, and they just don't know what to do. And internships are that opportunity to bridge those gaps in people's lives. As we know, there's a number of students and young adults who are enthusiastic, who are motivated and ambitious, and internships can bring a lot of opportunities to that. And from OWIT's perspective, we unfortunately cannot pay our volunteers, but we are approached by many women, young women, who are interested in just getting experience. And so we have that opportunity to give young women entering into the career, or just starting in, or who've been in their career for a number of years but are looking to branch out and get more networks. And that's what we're able to do with OWIT, where we give them the opportunities to help push the mandate of OWIT, participate in our events, have speaking opportunities, as well as work on our board, which helps guide a lot of the work that we are doing. And it's been a phenomenal experience, which is part of the reason why I joined OWIT, was to have that kind of experience and exposure. And I think those are some of the things that in your own countries you can think about, either creating nonprofits or women's groups where you give young people that kind of opportunity to learn and to build practical skills that they wouldn't necessarily have. And I've been also very fortunate in my life to be surrounded by many women, not only in the nonprofit world, but in my life in general. And some of the best mentorship that I've had has been through the organizations that I've been working with IE Canada and with OWIT. The women that have opened their hearts and opened their time to tell me about their experiences, to tell me how they got to be where they are, provided career guidance based on who I am and what I'm looking to accomplish. And there is no price on that type of advice and mentorship. Through OWIT, we also have a very welcoming environment where people feel that they can come and meet other women who are either at the later end of their careers or just beginning in their careers or in the middle way of their careers, to talk to people, to have the time to actually flesh out how they can accomplish what they need to accomplish in their careers and in their personal lives, and balancing between your private life and your professional life, which, as we all know as women, is a constant struggle. And some of the best advice I've gotten is through the women at OWIT, who tell you that you cannot do it all, and that it's important for you to recognize that you're not Superwoman, and that it's important to make those priorities, but as well that the opportunities are endless. And we've had a number of wonderful events at OWIT that have really strengthened those types of messaging and strengthened the notion that there is support out there. And one of the interesting things that we often come across with OWIT is this notion that women are the only type of mentorship that you can have. But I really implore you to think about the mentorship that you can find with your colleagues that are men. Often we feel that, if you're seen talking to a man at lunch or in a certain setting, that somehow it's not appropriate. But I think as women, it's important for us to also reach to men for mentors as well. And for men who are in the room to also take the opportunity to help women who are looking for mentorship, to give them a side of your experiences that they wouldn't necessarily have, which I think is a very important thing for us to do. So on that note, I'd like to wrap up and thank you for having me. And on behalf of the Organization for Women in International Trade, I hope you go to our website and look up our mandate and see if there's a chapter near you. or even consider opening a chapter in your countries back home, because it's a wonderful network to be a part of that will only enrich your lives ever more. Thank you very much.